The serratus anterior is one of the most overlooked, underdeveloped, and underappreciated muscles in the body. Not only is it extremely important functionally as a major factor behind shoulder health, scapular mobility, and your ability to work the rest of your upper body, but it's also essential for having a well-rounded physique. In the front of your body, the serratus anterior frames your obliques and abs, making your core look extra shredded when properly developed. And in the back, because the posterior aspect of the serratus anterior lies underneath the lats and pushes out on them, it's actually also a big contributor to how big and wide your lats and upper back look. For example, if you take a look at this asymmetrical pull-up I'm doing, the way my right arm and shoulder are positioned engages the serratus anterior more than the way my left side is positioned, and you can see a big difference in how my back looks on each side. However, even the small percentage of people who do intentionally work the serratus anterior will generally only work one of its 3 movements, therefore leaving a significant amount of gains on the table. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to effectively target all 3 movements of the serratus anterior using any equipment, or even just body weight. First, to know how to properly and effectively target the serratus anterior, we have to understand the underlying anatomy. The serratus anterior muscle fibers insert on the costal surface of the scapula, aka the underside of the shoulder blade, all along its medial border. And then it wraps around the side of the body and splits into multiple different segments that attach along ribs 1 through 8 or 9. And it's these segments along the front that show up as those finger-like muscles that you can see on the side of your core, framing your obliques and abs. Now, since all of these serratus anterior origination points are anterior or in front of their insertion point on the scapula, hence serratus anterior, when they contract or shorten, one of the things they do is they pull the scapula forward, pressing it tight against your back and pushing the whole shoulder girdle forward. And we call that movement scapular protraction. And that is the first movement that we're going to hit in the gym. To work scapular protraction with a cable machine, you'll use a handle attachment and stand so that the cable is coming from directly behind the shoulder on the side that you're working, set just a little lower than shoulder height. Stagger your feet with the ipsilateral foot, or the one on the side of the body that you're working, in back and the other in front. Raise your arm out in front of yourself and extend your elbow. Then you'll alternate between letting the cable pull your shoulder back and your scapula into a retracted position, and then using your serratus anterior to protract your shoulder out as far as you can. It's okay to let your elbow flex a little bit in an effort to get the full retraction-protraction range of motion, but only a little. The purpose of this exercise is to isolate the serratus anterior. If you flex your elbow too much, you'll turn this into a press motion, and the more powerful pec major will take over, along with the anterior deltoid and triceps. To work scapular protraction with free weights, you'll need to lie on your back. Why? Because unlike with the cable, where we could manipulate the resistance to come horizontally from behind our body, resistance with free weights is always gravity, which is always straight down. So to have any significant resistance against scapular protraction, we need to be protracting against gravity, which means lying on our back. From there, you'll grab a dumbbell or your weight of choice and perform the same motion, letting the weight retract your shoulder back, and then protracting it out as far as you can, while keeping your elbow as straight as you can. Finally, to work the serratus anterior via scapular protraction using nothing but your body weight, you'll get into a push-up position, and then while keeping your elbows locked, alternate between letting your upper body drop down between your arms, which will retract your shoulder blades, and then using protraction and protraction only to push your body up as high as you can, and repeat. You can also do the same motion in the plank position with your upper body resting on your forearms instead of your hands, but I prefer doing it on my hands since it's easier to use good form that way. Again, keep your elbows straight. We don't want to turn this into a push-up, or the pec major and other muscles will take over. And if you're wondering about using a resistance band, you'd treat it the same way you do a cable. Just attach one end to a spot behind yourself and perform the same exact motions. However, as I referenced in the beginning of this video, scapular protraction is just one of the movements that the serratus anterior performs, and if that's all you worked, you'd be leaving major gains on the table and you wouldn't be adequately strengthening and building the full breadth and capacity of the serratus anterior. It would be like only using flat bench press to work the chest and ignoring the fact that you need to have an incline angle in order to work the clavicular head of the upper chest and a decline angle to work the costal head of the lower chest. If we look back at the anatomy, we can see that the insertion points are not only anterior or in front of their origin along the medial border of the scapula, they are also lateral or to the side of their origination points. So when they contract, they also pull the scapula sideways and the whole shoulder girdle sideways. And that movement is called scapular abduction or scapular lateral rotation. And that is the second movement that we are going to hit. With the cable or resistance band, you'll use the same setup and relative positioning, but you'll rotate your body away from the side that you're working. That will make it so that the same motion of pushing the cable out is actually being done laterally or to the side relative to your body. Once again, keep your elbow as straight as you can, using only scapular abduction to move the weight. With free weights, we need to make it so that pushing the weight against gravity is being done at a lateral angle relative to our body. So the way you do that is once again by turning your body away from the side that you're working on. Now it's scapular abduction that will move the weight up against gravity. And to hit it using body weight only, you'll prop your body up on one arm in a sideways position. From there, you'll use scapular abduction to repeatedly push your body up. You won't feel much range of motion, but that's okay. You don't need much range of motion for this to be effective. Finally, because of how the scapula is positioned on the back, angled slightly tilted downwards, when the serratus anterior muscle fibers contract, they pull at an angle that rotates the scapula upward, which is conveniently called scapular upward rotation. And that is the third movement that we're going to hit. Now, there are really two different ways to work scapular upward rotation. One is simply to perform a scapular protraction motion with your shoulders angled upwards. And the second is to start with your shoulders down and then raise them, which rotates the scapula upwards. The first does a better job of isolating the serratus anterior by taking out the anterior deltoid, upper chest, and biceps, but the second does a better job of hitting the full upward rotation range of motion. So I developed an exercise that combines both strategies to get the best of both worlds. With a cable or resistance band, you'll set it in a low position directly below the shoulder on the side you're working. And then you'll slowly raise your arm while protracting your shoulder, or pushing it out, until it's angled up above your head. From there, you'll let your shoulder drop down into a retracted position, and then protract it out again at an inclined angle, then slowly lower your arm back down, and repeat. Stagger your feet with the ipsilateral foot in front, and as always, try to keep your elbow straight throughout the motion. With free weights, you'll use an incline bench and then perform the same motion, raising your arm while simultaneously protracting your shoulder, then letting it drop into a retracted position at the top, and protract it back out at an upwards angle, then slowly lower your arm back down and repeat. The bodyweight version can be a little more challenging to do correctly, but you'll get into a push-up position with your feet propped up on a box or bench, and then let your upper body drop down between your shoulders, putting your scapula in a retracted position. And then you'll use that same motion of raising your arms over your head to push your body up, while protracting your shoulder, bending at the hips until your arms are over your head. From that position, you'll let your body drop down between your arms, retracting your shoulders while keeping your elbows straight, and then push your body back up by protracting your shoulders. Then lower your arms relative to your body until you're back in the push-up position, and repeat. If that's too difficult for you, then just stick with the second motion with your hips bent and upper body angled down towards the floor, alternating between retracting and protracting your shoulders at that inclined angle. Now, if you really want to build your serratus anterior and know how to effectively integrate it into a comprehensive resistance training program that integrates all of the latest in exercise science, serratus anterior training is included in my Hypertrophy Series Total Back program, which is available now, and you can check out via a link that I'll leave in the video description below. And serratus anterior training is also covered in my Shred Series Total Core program, which is currently under development, and you can pre-register to beta test it for 50% off when it's released by adding your name to a waitlist that I will put also in the video description below. Guys, if you like this video, please show your support by hitting that like button and letting me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, any suggestions or recommendations you have for content you'd like to see. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to Fitness Tip Friday, my free weekly newsletter that is always short, significant, and science-based, delivering a huge amount of value to your inbox in a bite-sized package that has become extremely popular. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and/or TikTok for more science-based health and fitness content. Mahalo, my friends. Until next time.